There's a myth floating quietly through the halls of modern tech. The old engineer cannot keep up. They are slower, less adaptable, too attached to the past. And so they are moved sideways, into architecture, into management, into analysis, not because they chose it, but because someone decided they could not run anymore. What if the old engineer is not slower? What if they are faster than everyone in the room? Tonight we are going to challenge something deeper than ageism. We are going to question who defines speed. Because speed in typing is not speed in delivery, speed in action is not speed in outcome, and velocity in sprint points is not velocity in systems that survive. And the real twist, many of the loudest judges of pace are those who quietly exited the race. Speed is not keystrokes. A young engineer can write 2,000 lines before lunch. An older engineer writes 200. Guess which system ships without rollback. Guess which one avoids 3 months of rework. Experience compresses decision trees. The old engineer has seen the bug before it exists. They recognize architectural traps instantly. They do not explore dead ends because they have already walked them years ago. To an observer, they look slower. In reality, they are skipping entire branches of failure. That is not slowness. That is preemptive speed. The immunity effect. Psychology calls it crystallized intelligence. But let's call it something more accurate: immunity. You do not build immunity by reading about disease. You build it by surviving it. The old engineer has survived outages, security breaches, framework collapses, vendor betrayals, revolutionary tools that disappeared in 18 months. They carry antibodies in their thinking. So when hype appears, they are not dazzled. When a proposal smells fragile, they do not need a proof of concept to feel it. That instinct is speed, just invisible speed, the arrogance problem. Now let's get uncomfortable. There's a second group in this ecosystem, the ones who could not maintain technical pace, who stepped out of the delivery stream, who moved into architecture not out of mastery but fatigue, who became managers because their hands no longer moved fast enough, and from those positions they evaluate those who still swim. They measure velocity in activity, not in outcomes. They are fueled by young, eager engineers who validate their perception. The young want approval. The mid-career decision-makers want reassurance that stepping out was justified, so a quiet alliance forms. Speed becomes defined as visible motion, not invisible precision. And the old engineer who is still lethal in execution, the warrior pattern. History has seen this before. Old warriors were dismissed when battles changed, not because they lost strength, but because the generals redefined victory. In many eras, it was not the aging fighter who was weak. It was the command structure that no longer understood the battlefield. When politics overtakes craft, perception overtakes performance, and the loudest voices are rarely the most capable. The real data of speed. Let's define speed properly. Time to stable production, time to low defect deployment, time to minimal rework. Time to system survivability. Older engineers often reduce all four. They design once, not 3 times. They anticipate integration issues before integration begins. They avoid fashionable abstractions that later need dismantling. That is not resistance to change. That is pattern compression, and pattern compression is acceleration. Why this keeps happening. Behavioral science offers clues. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less experience someone has, the more confident they are in judging competence. Add to that organizational incentives. Young engineers optimize for growth. Mid-career managers optimize for control. Older engineers optimize for durability. Those incentives collide. The ones who left the technical arena often prefer a world where the arena is devalued. It protects their decision. And the young, full of energy, amplify it until they too age and discover the game has moved again. Here is the truth: the old engineer is not slower. They are faster in the dimension that matters. They move fewer pieces, but each piece lands. They speak less, but when they do, catastrophe is avoided. They ship less code, but they ship fewer regrets. If you define speed as keystrokes, youth wins. If you define speed as system survival, experience wins. And one day, every young engineer will discover something unsettling. They will still be fast, but someone younger will call them slow. The metric was flawed all along. Can the old engineer keep up? Who is defining pace? And are they still capable of running it? Because in complex systems, the fastest mind in the room is often the one that does not need to move quickly at all. Thank you and goodbye.